Today I have this privileged opportunity to be able to test drive a Porsche Macan 4. This is a 2024 model, but it remains unchanged for the 2025 model. So for the title of this video, I will title it as the 2025 Porsche Macan 4 EV, a fully electric car. The Porsche Macan has deviated away or has moved away from an internal combustion engine to the disappointment of many car enthusiasts, especially those who really like the internal combustion format. But this is an electric format, which we're seeing with a lot of cars made by Porsche right now. They are moving away from the gas-powered cars and moving towards and shifting towards the electric cars. So the electric cars are going to be the direction that most of the VW group and a lot of companies in Europe, because there's European mandates and there's new mandates across the entire globe with regards to the safety of our planet, they want a lot more electric platforms available for the customers. So what have they done? They introduced the Taycan Turbo, and then they introduced the Taycan 4, and they've introduced many different Taycan variants. And we're now seeing that the Macan went from an internal combustion platform, and now they're moving to a electric platform. The next one up is going to be the Boxster and the Cayman, moving towards the electric platform as well. So a lot of people are disappointed because it's like, a lot of these cars are lightweight, they're performance cars. People want cars that are going to be lightweight in nature because they handle better. But the only thing I could do is test drive this car and figure out to see if this is a perfect commuter car, because the Macan is the perfect sporty SUV. I don't see this as a sports car. There's the 911 for that. There's other cars that do Porsche things historically within their lineup. This is a car that if you're an enthusiast, you have this as your daily driver. This is the car that traditionally a lot of my friends have given their girlfriends or their wives, because they want this car to be like, yeah, this is the car that my wife drives and I keep the classic 911 for myself. So, but I think, I daily drive a Cayenne, so that's a cool car, the yellow one that you've seen on this channel before. I think this is a cool car, so let's take this one on a drive. Everything is silent. Is everything on? Everything is on. The screens are on. We have a traditional screen. It looks a little bit like an integrated iPad, but it's blended in a lot better than Mercedes EVs. I don't like the iPad that the Mercedes has and a lot of the different electric cars have. Rivian even has this. I test drove a Rivian recently. It's the same thing. I feel like this one is a little bit better in terms of fit and finish. The quality of the materials are excellent throughout. This is a base model. This is not the extended leather package, but you could not tell the difference if you're not well versed in the language of Porsche. Everything is done to an extreme level of attention to detail. If we look down here in the center console, there is no shift lever because the shift lever is now up here. It's shaped like a miniature electric razor. Park, reverse neutral drive, the traditional Prindle layout, and everything is response to touch. Good storage capacity. But let's get down to business. Let's go for this drive. And the thing that still takes getting used to is the fact that there's no sound emitting from the front of the car, from the back of the car. So that's something that, it takes a little bit of an adjustment. And I do like the pedal feel to this car a lot better than that of the Rivian, because it still feels like I'm driving a normal car. There's no extreme deceleration that takes place the minute I release my foot from the gas pedal. I found that to be a little bit disconcerting for my driving tastes when it comes to driving a car just in normal traffic. The steering is as smooth as possible. There's no whining noise when I accelerate, so that's something that I'm going to listen for right now as I take off, as I wait for this red light, because we are here in the streets of Brooklyn. In terms of additional features throughout, I do like this panoramic roof. Unfortunately, the car is a little bit dirty because this is a demo car, but It has been raining for a few days, has been snowing a few days here. So the road salt is something that's inevitable for the streets of New York. And if we know anything about the Department of Sanitation, they're very generous when it comes to the distribution of salt throughout these roads or the dispersal of salts. In terms of pricing, these start at a relatively well, Porsches are never cheap. Let's start with that. And I'll leave the pricing in the description below. In terms of range anxiety, it's just like any EV. You just have to, the more aggressive you are with your foot, the faster your charge goes. In terms of having a charging station and seeing what the infrastructure looks like, it's slowly getting better, but it's still a challenge for many. It's not like you can just go to a local gas station and charge, but many gas stations throughout the United States are incorporating charging stations in their locations. There are rapid charging stations, but it's not necessarily available throughout. So, if you're going from here to DC, from New York to DC, you may have to stop in Philadelphia for an extended period of time in order to get that extended range. So range anxiety is something that you will have to deal with. I do like this 3-gauge cluster that we have in the Macan that's consistent with the previous model. The 3-gauge cluster, the first one tells you how much charge you have. This is 83%, which is more than enough to get you from point A to point B. You have your speedometer. The central tachometer, you don't need it because you're not necessarily revving an engine. But the 3-gauge layout, or the 3-screen layout in that center, in the center binnacle here, is consistent with the design language of Porsche. The 3-gauge cluster started with the Porsche 356, which was a car that debuted in Gmünd, Austria back in 1949. And then eventually operations shifted to Zuffenhausen in Germany. But that 3-gauge cluster is still consistent with the design language of Porsche. They incorporated this 3-gauge cluster famously in the Porsche 912. Visibility is pretty good. I haven't had to depend on any cameras. And I think that Porsche knows their customer. They know that they're people that don't want to depend on cameras. They don't want to depend on the adaptive cruise control if they don't have to. They understand that I'm a potential customer, so I look at things like what things look like, how they feel, because I care about the driving. I don't care about the driving assists, if you will. So this is more in line with what I like in regards to Porsche, in regards to cars in general. Sure, I'm not shifting gears anymore because that's something that's going to go by the wayside. But if I did want to shift gears, there's cars for that. If I want to shift gears, I'll go to the 911 because the internal combustion format is not disappearing from the 911. Are there rumors that the 911 will incorporate a hybrid assist like they do in some of their race cars, like the 918 Spider, how they did that famously 10 years ago, which is hard to believe that the 918 Spider is already 10 years old. It's unbelievable to think that. But Porsche has been ahead of the game with regards to just incorporating electric technology into their cars. So this is nothing new. And for what it's worth, we just can't be afraid of it. We have to embrace it because the minute that the 911 went from air-cooled to water-cooled, all the enthusiasts were very upset. And now we look at the 996 and the 997 as some of our favorite cars. Just look up a price of a 997 4.0 RS. The car is astronomically expensive, more expensive than a lot of the air-cooled cars that we love. So changing format doesn't mean that we're getting away from driving enthusiasm. We're working around the rules that we have in place, and we're trying to make things a little bit better. So I'm going to keep on driving this car, and I just wanted to go over what it felt like to drive this Macan. I thought I was going to be disappointed. I'm actually not. I actually like this car a lot. I think this is a promising direction that Porsche is taking with this car. I was upset that the Macan was going to become electric and not become an internal combustion engine, but for what people use the Macan for, they're not going to take this to the track. They're going to have a sporty experience for their daily commuter, because this is the car that you use on the road, but if you wanted to go fast, you probably could, because it's, after all, a Porsche. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Like, subscribe, comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. And before I leave, I'm going to leave a link to Off the Record in case you get those speeding tickets in your Porsche. If you get a speeding ticket, it's the worst thing in the world. I know, because I've been there. So what you can do is go to Off the Record and you download the app, you take a picture of your speeding ticket, and you're able to get out of your speeding ticket. Well, you'll get points reduced, but you won't have insurance premiums go up the wazoo. So click the link below and tell them I sent you. Talk to you guys later. Enjoy your day and enjoy your driving.